we have nothing fancy about this recording right now, but it feels like we need to capture what we're talking about right now. So in the
Yeah.
event that I happen to use this as a podcast, um, hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Circle Up and Get Real. I am with a guest today, April Mata, who I've known for a long time, and we are in a technological challenge right now. Each of us are. The way we normally record these things is not working for either of us. But we were just having a conversation that I feel needs to be recorded for posterity. So whether or not this ends up being the podcast or not, because of the quality of the recording, I really wanted what you just said, April, to be recorded. Can you re-say that?
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So I'll just go back to I think I'll go all the way back. Like I went to a
Yeah, yeah,
retreat.
yeah.
So I was telling you asked how I was, and I said, wow, in this really interesting space. And so I had gone to a retreat and I came back and I got sick. And so it was like I was coming in with this amazing energy and new things flowing, and then I got sick. Like my body was in bed and people had to take care of me, which was part of what I learned is like receiving, right? And receiving the help and not being so responsible and caretaking everything. So it felt like a continuation of the learning. But then it put me in this, after it felt kind of fun to lay in bed for a couple of days, then it really became a mental thing. It was like, okay, this isn't fun anymore.
Yeah.
And I got to a place of, I was in a corporate career, which, for 15 years. And I almost felt like I was right back there where I was thinking to myself, like, wow, what do I really want to be doing?
Mm-hmm.
What now I have this business, and is this the way I want to serve? Is this what I want to be doing? What expression does this want to be? Do I even want to do it at all, to be honest? Right.
Wow.
So and I was doing some in-program coaching for somebody else, which was an amazing opportunity. It really was really an amazing opportunity. And on top of that, she offered to let me enroll in a program, um, it, just as compensation for working with her. And on the outside or to my head, that made that was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But there was something deep down that I didn't know at the moment, but it was like I was at a decision point. And I actually on a Saturday, it was like, oh my gosh, I have to quit. Like it has to be done. I have to let it all die and let everything I know go. And
Wow.
so I let her know. And it was a lot of, it was income. So
Yeah.
for me, right? It's hard to say no to these amazing opportunities. But even in my own business, it was like I needed space,
Mm-hmm.
because I had always been striving. Like even if I know better,
Yeah.
it was still in the system. So it was, get good grades, go to a top college, climb the ladder. And then though I've done a lot of searching and healing over the last 3 years in the business, realizing there's still like an undercurrent of that.
Mm.
And so what if I just give it all up? Like,
So anybody listening to this, if you get to a space like that, because when I first connected with you, you were in your corporate career, and I knew you were unhappy there. I could just tell. I spoke at an event where you were, and then we were in a coffee shop. I'll never forget that, right? We were in the coffee shop. We were talking about Joe Dispenza. I mean, who talks about Joe Dispenza in a coffee shop with somebody randomly walking by? And you said, like, I think you put down a card and you said, I'm leaving or I'm quitting or something like that, right? And at that point, you were like, I need to do something else. So who you were then, April, how long ago was that? You said 4 years, 3 years?
well, I don't remember oh, you know what? The coffee shop when I walked up to you was 2018, because I was on maternity leave and I was binge watching all of these podcasts and YouTube videos. And I remember thinking, Jody would love this guy. And then I walk in and there you are. And I was like, hey, Jody, do you happen to know who these people are?
Yeah, that's right. So 18. So it was longer ago than I thought. And that we have these synchronicities, these random happenstances that seem to be showing up. You and I, the last time we met, we had a conversation in another coffee shop, another little restaurant, and remember we were talking about things, and you're asking me questions. I'm like, yep. And it was so randomly coincidental that there's something where you're experiencing something, our technology is telling us something. We're in this weird space about leaving money, guaranteed money, which you said by all external appearances should have been exactly what people want. You leave your corporate job, you get asked to join another organization, you're given opportunities, but it doesn't feel right. How do we justify that on the outside, April? I mean, it doesn't make sense, does it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard. It's yeah. You brought up the now I don't remember the name, but kind of that breakdown spiral. And
Yeah,
that's
this
what it
spiral
felt like.
dynamics. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really like it really was a breakdown. Like whether you're on a hero's journey, if you're familiar with hero's journey or an ego death, there were parts of me that are dying, and it didn't feel good. Like to me, that feels like tightness in my chest. I'm having a hard time breathing. I feel really stuck. My world gets really small. I just can't see a way out. And for me, it was just using tools. It's like getting out and just walking one foot after the other, just breathing. For me, it's meditations, breath work, and you kind of was able to get back to be able to see a little bit more. And it's like the moment we make those tough decisions, the moment the words come out and the conversation happens, well, then there's just a liberation of like energy. But it's hard. I'm still here. I'm still sort of in the unknown.
Yeah.
In this world that I look out and I can't really see anybody else modeling it.
Right.
And yeah, so it's I've done this more than once, so I can look back and I can see evidence in my life. So it's just trusting again. It's like just trusting that I have to close the door before the other door comes open. Even if I can't see it, I have to trust in that moment, in the unknown, in myself, and the thing coming in, even if I can't see it. I don't know how.
That's the void, I suppose, that we want to be aware will be filled, the vacuum that will be filled with probably old conditioning and old things, if we aren't intentional and mindful about what we put back in. So being in the gap is a very uncomfortable yet necessary place to be before the breakthrough to the next, at least in my observation and experience. And the fact that you have done so much work your whole life. I mean, you've been on this journey. You told me before, you've been in the spiritual world for a long time. You were kind of raised in this space. And so for you to recognize that witnessing the expansion as the recipient of the expansion is a conversation we can have. We're not, like you said, you don't see a lot of that modeled because we're not used to emergent conversations. We're used to formulaic conversations and systems and frameworks. That only means that even if you can't see it modeled because it occurred to you, it needs to be created and allowed in the world.
Yeah, and I like you said, I've read and studied. I'm in Dr. Joe Dispenza's. I'm an advanced student, and so it's like, okay, I have the why. I have some knowledge here, but when it actually comes to walking it, it's like, oh, not. I'm really trusting. I'm trusting, and I love what you said about there is a void, and if you're not intentional about what you're putting in there, well, we're just programmed to put the old stuff in there. So nothing's going to come. I'm going to run out of money. I only, like that stuff very easily comes in for me. So it is a very intentional, like nope, I want to fill it with,
Mhm. Mhm.
and choosing what I'm filling it with,
Right.
that the perfect opportunity is coming, that it's better than I expected. I know it's already there. Like what I feel so much better.
Mm.
And in the moment I made the decision, I had the hard conversation, I felt so much better than I can remember.
Mm.
Even when I left my corporate job, I thought leaving it, there wouldn't be that undercurrent. And yeah, I would say the volume went down, but there was still this undercurrent, right? So it was like, it's still there. And this time it was like, oh, I just was able to be more present with my kids because I'm not trying to, think about content creation and all of these things from a place of like, what will this do? What will it get? Will this turn into something? So it's like, and I wasn't as present as I wanted to be with my children. And then, knowing energy enough too. I mean, that's coming through in all the things I'm doing. So it was like the moment I just released it, and now I do heart math,
Mhm.
heart coherence. I've been able to go do them, and it's just like it's from this place of like service and joy, and I don't care who's in the audience, and I don't care if it turns into anything else. I'm not trying. There's no expectation anymore. It's just like I'm networking with people. And then guess what's happening? I'm getting referrals. People are booking, right? And I know these things, but it's another thing to actually get to a place where you surrender them or you embody them because
So the word I was just thinking in my mind was embody. And then
mm,
you said it. And I don't find that, I mean, I remember in my journey as well, I'd be like, oh my gosh, April, can you believe it? I just thought the word embodied and you said it. Oh my gosh.
yeah.
All of that was part of the journey. And now I get that it is what it is, right? We're in this space of being what we know instead of telling what we know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you be what you know, you are present with your kids, you are being the embodiment of the things you've been talking about, and the people sense the distinction.
Mm,
they can't articulate it either. They're like,
mm,
there's something about you I need to refer, or all of those weird random things that we used to try to make and force and push
mm,
and
mm,
are have always been there, but
mm,
it's kind of like chasing a butterfly. The butterfly will never come to you if you chase it. You have to
mm,
slow down and then the butterfly lands on you. It's in my head, I know that. But when I actually, like you said, when you actually take that action from that energy, then you're like, oh, this is all the things that Joe Dispenza was talking about. These are all the things
mm,
I was reading about for all these years.
mm,
Oh, and I bet there will be people in your life, April, who will say, but you've always been like that. There's no
mm,
difference to me. And you're like, yeah, but it's so different.
mm,
Nobody needs to know that. I mean, it's about who again, it's magnetic energy versus dynamic energy.
mm. Yeah. A huge part of that for me, Jody, has just been this like walk with money.
Mm,
It's like the having such a scarcity mindset. It's so interesting. I thought money was going to solve the money problem, and then I made more money and it just became even more scarce.
yeah.
Then I was saving and worrying about what was spending, which is really sucking the joy out of everything. Well, I feel like I've become so different in that journey, yet it's still a walk. And so, really sort of I've heard this, but it finally dropped in, was like the abundance doesn't come from having this pile of money in my business account or wherever, right? It was like, oh, it's like the flow, like it's the trust in like, I don't know where the referral's coming from, or I don't know, but it keeps coming, or it's And it's like, like from that place, I was able to just, there was release the worry of the money.
Mm.
It's still a walk.
Right, right, right.
When we talk about filling the gap,
Yeah.
like there's still things that want to come in, but
So the picture I just got is standing on the shore of a river and watching the river go, watching the flow, being able to see that it goes, and then jumping in. And if you jump into the river and you let it take you where it takes you, it's still a journey. There might be rocks, there might be things that get in the way of your experience of, releasing and just surrendering to the flow, because it's still a river. It still has a thing to do. It's still, there will be rapids, there will be parts of it that are unfamiliar. Yet I think the distinction, at least from what I'm hearing and witnessing in your story, and then embodying myself, is those times when you just get to float and you just get to go, okay, this is what I'm getting my energy back to be able to demonstrate. And
yeah.
the referrals and all those things that it's kind of like they're on the next bank of the river and they're like, oh, I've been waiting for you. This is awesome. Here you come down the river and here it is for you. Here's the next referral. And knowing it theoretically, and the knowingness of embodying it are very distinct, and they don't, at least for me, yet have language.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was really a frustration of mine, is like knowing the information and then not being able to like quite get the pieces right. And then in this quitting, quitting myself, quitting it, uh, quitting the other opportunity, quitting my business as it was, just laying it all down. It was like, well, now I get to go on, I've been on a couple podcasts. Yesterday I got invited to Pelican Rapids to network, to meet somebody, right? And it was like all these things are now really joyful. I'm just excited to drive out there. I'm excited, and there's no expectation, but in the conversation it's like, oh, you need to connect her with so and so. And it's like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I don't know how else to I'm just grateful to have the space to witness this for you, because that we have the technological problems we've had today, that we have whatever, doesn't matter. If you can hear my voice, it might not be as crisp and clear as it would be if I were using the correct mic, and your background is not what it would be if it weren't, on your phone, which is what you're having to view on today. But none of that really matters to the message itself, I think.
Yeah. And my battery just let me know it's about to
Okay,
die.
so we may have said everything we need to say for today for this
I
podcast.
think so.
This will be, well, we're going to release this. It'll probably be a couple weeks, because I've got a lot of people who have been very interested in having conversations with me. Funny enough, the conversation that I'm just putting out today is very similar to this one. Release and about stopping the grind, and you'll be interested to hear Joey.
Yeah.
Coincidences are simply incidences that happen at the same time. Incident. It's not a random happenstance. It's not an accident. It's not anything. It's what needs to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So thank
I
you.
love. Yeah, thank you. I mean, thank you. Thank you for witnessing me. It's so interesting. You've witnessed me at many points on this journey. So that's so significant and beautiful. And I appreciate that. And thank you.
More to come, my friend. We'll talk again. Go take care of
Okay.
your phone, plug it in.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Everybody else,
Bye.
just get real. Take something from this conversation and go see if there's something in your own life that you've not been being real about, and allow yourself to get into that flow. Take it from April, and if you need to look her up, because you will, I'll make sure that there's contact information in the show notes. Thanks,
Thank you,
everybody.
Jody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.